This fellow I'm fixing to talk with, maybe some of you don't know him that kind of follow me and follow this page, but once he gets to talking and telling his story, you're going to feel like you've known him forever. And this guy has one of the best country voices in Christian music, and probably anywhere. And I love his singing. I love his heart, and he has a great ministry. And we're going to talk about that right now. This is Tommy Brandt. How you doing, Tommy?
Hey, doing great. Good to see everybody.
It's good to see you too. And you're down in Florida, right?
Yeah, down here in Sebring, Florida, just right smack dab in the middle of the state.
Right, smack dab in the middle of the state. How is Florida dealing with the shutdown and everything? Are you still having church services down there, or how you working things out?
It's about like the rest of America. All the churches have shut down and went to online services. We are putting on, this will be our 7th week, I believe, this week, putting on a drive-up church. And it's been working pretty good. We've been having 30, 40, 50 cars at a time show up, a couple hundred people.
That's good.
And, they seem to love it. It's a way to still worship and stay safe, but yet still be a part of it. And there's something about the anointing, when you're there hands-on, that doesn't seem to cross over when you're looking at a screen, a computer screen or a telephone screen.
Yeah, it is quite different. My family, we've been doing Facebook Live things now since the shutdown, and it's a lot different just looking at a camera or at a wall, and seeing it to that and not getting that reaction back from the crowd makes a big difference. But I went on your page and saw you and your son. Your son travels with you now, don't he?
He does, yes. He's 18 years old now and been on the bus since he was a year old.
Wow, and he plays guitar and he sings along with you, don't he?
He does, and he's his own artist now. I used to say he was my guitar player, but anymore I think I'm his bus driver. He's on the Grand Ole Opry already, and had us some other really good shows. And
that's pretty awesome.
Kids like him. He's reaching that group of people that I can't seem to reach, so it works great.
Is he? He's not married, is he?
Nope. Thank God, he's still single.
I got a 17-year-old daughter. She'll be so mad at me for saying that. She's got a boyfriend anyway. But,
nothing to do with no evangelist.
She's got a boyfriend, and he doesn't sing. He doesn't play guitar. And I'm like, that's the kind of guy I want my daughter to, because she's a great singer and she plays mandolin. And I'm thinking, I want you to get hooked up with somebody that's already in the ministry and doing all that stuff. And I saw your son a couple of years ago at the Inspirational Country Music Awards, and I thought, hey, I need to fix them up.
Well, we're looking for a combo player. Does she play banjo too?
No, just mandolin, but she sings like a bird. I'm telling you, she's a great singer. But anyway, like I said, she has a boyfriend. She probably wouldn't appreciate me talking about this. But anyway, I'm one of those matchmaking kind of guys, always have been. But anyway, we're going to talk about you. And just like everybody I've been interviewing, we go way back to the beginning. You used to tell everybody where you were born and just what were your influences at an early age, or how long did it take for you to figure out this is what I want to do when I grow up? So go ahead.
Sure thing. Yeah, I was actually born, a lot of people don't know, in Lebanon, Indiana.
Oh.
And where my folks were from, but moved from Indiana at the age of 5 years old down to Florida. And I've lived in Florida the rest of my life since, other than being on the road for the last 19 years. We've been traveling, just living out of a bus and evangelizing across the country. But my influences actually came from my father's side. The early influences. My latter influences come from my mother's side, and I'll explain that a little bit. But my dad owned a bar when I was growing up, and I remember us kids, my brother and sister and I, would stay there at the bar at night when they were cleaning up. 2 o'clock in the morning, we'd get up and we'd all have to sweep the peanuts off the floor and clean the spilled beer up. But all during that time, Daddy'd give us quarters, and we'd play the jukebox, and that was kind of our babysitter.
Yeah.
Just learned to love country music through that era, and learned to work through that era, because it was hard work to keep up with that stuff. And 3, 4, 5 years old, I was already, sweeping the floor and cleaning up after people. but learned to love country music through that time frame there. And my mama, somehow or another, I don't know how her and Daddy got hooked up, but she was a Pentecostal holiness churchgoer. She was the worship leader at their church, and somehow or another hooked up with
how in the world did that happen?
I don't know, but it popped out me out of the two of them. So I got the best of both of them. The first half of my life, I served the devil with Daddy, and the second half, I'm serving Jesus with Mama.
Wow.
There's my next song right there.
You talk about playing the jukebox when you were a kid. Did you have a favorite country singer back then?
I had several. I've always loved Hank Williams Jr.
Yeah.
My favorite song I'll never forget is Behind Closed Doors. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, Charlie Rich. Yeah.
Charlie Rich.
Yeah.
I love Charlie Rich's voice. And I'd always go around singing that song when I was a little kid and telling Mama, I'm going to move to Nashville one day, Mama.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So I guess did you go to church with your mom, and did you start out kind of there singing and playing in church?
No, total opposite, man. At 19 years old, I started with a band as a sound and lights guy, and studied sound and light engineering, and loved that side of the music industry. And I feel like that's what I'm built for, is to do the servanthood of music. But about 5 years after traveling with this band as their engineer, the lead singer moved to Nashville to work on a record deal. And we were sitting around practice one night, and all the boys said, who are we going to get to sing? And I said, well, I'll fill in until somebody gets here. I know all the lyrics anyway. And next thing you know, I was singing that weekend, and I was a new lead singer. And that's kind of how I fell into the music.
Had you ever gone out and sang?
Never sang a lick in my life. I didn't know how to play guitar. Yeah, I played guitar at parties with my buddies and stuff. Just never by myself, never sang. My sister was a singer. She's a trained singer and phenomenal singer. She can sing me under the table any day, but I guess God just needed an old redneck voice to get out there or something. But that literally, the night that I filled in at practice was the first night I'd ever put a microphone to my mouth other than testing one. And and the boys said, hey, you can sing. You're up this weekend. And man, I was off the races. Then I was really double dutying it because I was running the sound, lights, and being the front man.
Man, I've been there and done that.
Yeah. The next 10 years, I sang in the bars and nightclubs.
Yeah.
I mean, it was paid my dues with the devil, I can tell you that.
Obviously, you knew that you could sing, you could carry a tune before you really got up there and started singing with them, right?
You know, literally, I hadn't, other than singing along with the radio and singing along with my buddies when we were all, drinking and cutting up. I really didn't know if I could sing or not. I did know the songs, and I fortunately was pretty good at remembering lyrics. But I started singing, and actually, I still, even to this day, I don't know if you've ever watched the Brady Bunch or not.
Oh, yeah. Favorite show.
I feel like on a microphone, I sound like Peter Brady. And I know that's funny, but every time I hear myself sing, I'm like Peter Brady. And everybody else says, oh, man, you sound like Alan Jackson or George Strait. I'm like, nope, Peter Brady. So,
I remember that was when his voice was changing. Remember that on the show when he was trying to sing, his voice had changed? Yeah, we all went through that mess. I did.
Oh, yeah. So, everybody always says, I hope you reach all your ambitions as a singer or evangelist. And I'm sitting back here going, man, I'm just an old sound guy that's just as content sitting in the back of the room. But apparently God had different plans. And,
obviously he did. Yeah, obviously he did.
Honored to work for him and honored to use what talent he gave me to serve him with. And I'll still, to this day, if I walk into a church and the floor's dirty, I'll grab a broom and start sweeping before I ever start setting up. I'm just
That's pretty awesome. Serving. So tell us about the change you went through. Obviously, you accepted Christ as your Savior, and what happened there?
I did. I was actually singing at a cafe one night. Beautiful place. It was on a lake, and they had a back deck where we'd set up the band, and they'd have dances and everything there, and people would come in and eat dinner. And it was a nice little steakhouse at the time. It was a beautiful place. But I was singing in there one night, and in walked this beautiful girl, man. She was gorgeous. And, me being the guy I was back then, I leaned over at my guitar player. I said, "Buddy, play me a slow love song. I'm gonna go ask this girl to dance." And I kind of gave him the wink, like, "Yeah, this is the one for tonight."
Yeah.
And there was Michelle. She was just she was Miss Kentucky at the time. She was down here, just had moved to Florida here, and beautiful, gorgeous lady. And I went over and asked her to dance, and everybody's looking because the lead singer, came off the platform. And
Yeah.
I walked over there and, gave her that old Southern, "Would you like to dance?" And, she said no.
She said no.
She said no. And I literally almost had to beg her to get up there and dance. And come to find out later, her friends whispered to her, said, "Oh, that's that sorry Tommy guy. You need to get him up and dance with him, and then drop him like a rock, break his heart."
What you should have done was you should have walked up to her and said, "Well, excuse me, but I think you got my chair."
It probably would have worked better.
It might have.
But that night changed my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
That night changed my life. I begged her and begged her to go out with me, and she finally agreed to go out with her on the condition our first date would be a Bible study.
Wow.
And I'd never studied the Bible, very little been to church. And I'll never forget, I told her the next night I'd take her out. It was 2:00 in the morning because I had another set the next night we had to get done. But
yeah,
I took her out to a truck stop restaurant, wined her and dined her.
Greasy spoon, huh?
Yeah, we sat down at that restaurant and studied the Bible for 5 hours.
That's awesome, man.
So that was a change of Tommy. It wasn't about 2 months later. I told the band that we had just gotten a record deal with country radio, and I told the band, I said, "Guys, I can't do it anymore. I know we're at the peak of where we was headed for, but if I can't sing for Jesus, I'm not going to sing at all."
Wow.
And so that's kind of how it started for me. I started from the backside of things. Never was my plans or ambitions, and God just had different plans.
So he put her in the right place at the right time, and it changed your life.
It sure did. And I always tell everybody when I'm up there singing, I introduce my wife and honor her, and I always say, if you don't like what I'm saying or singing, it's her fault.
Blame her. So what led to what you're doing today? I mean, you've got a great ministry going. You've been doing it for years. So what led into that?
Yeah, when I found Jesus, I was still singing. I was singing about 5 nights in the nightclubs here, and that takes up a lot of time. But I was also working during the day at an auto salvage yard. And
so wait a minute, wait. You say you were still singing in the clubs after you accepted Jesus. Did you change?
Accepted Jesus.
Did you sing different songs or sing the same songs?
At that time, I was singing the same songs, but I was just fulfilling the contract that I had to try and get out. But the conviction was wearing me out.
It was probably kind of rough, wasn't it? Because you felt like, man,
it's almost like God took a veil off of my eyes that used to I could sit there and sing and play for them people and never even see their faces. But all of a sudden, when I accepted Christ, all of a sudden I could see their faces, and I could see the sin and see the sin that I was causing by influencing them with the music that I was playing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, conviction wore me out. My wife carries a picture on her cell phone. Her homepage on her cell phone is a picture of us sitting outside the bar, the watering hole it's called. And we're sitting there, and you could just see the misery in my eyes that I was not in the right place. And finally, I worked out my contract and took 2 years off. I wasn't even going to sing anymore. I was just going to serve God. And he opened up the doors, and just my wife's a good encourager and inspires people. She just continued to push me through even when I didn't believe in myself, and still does to this day. So thankful for her.
Sounds like you got a good one there.
Yeah, I married up. That's a fact.
You definitely. I did too, for sure. So you've been doing this. Did it kind of start out as just you soloing, and then when you started having kids, you kind of brought them in with you to sing, or did your wife sing too, or how'd that all work out?
Originally, my wife sang with me, and although I was a solo act, she would sing harmony and
Yeah.
help out. But when she got pregnant with our son, uh, she quit singing, and now I can't get her to. I couldn't melt her and pour her on the stage for some reason. Now she'll
Well,
talk.
yeah.
She does women's events and
Hmm.
motivational type speaking, but she won't sing anymore at all. She sings great. She's a good
Yeah.
singer.
Yeah.
But somehow or another, our son popped out. He's a good combination of both of us because she's after I was married to her for about 5 years, I found out she didn't even like country music.
What was she doing at the bar that night?
Well, it wasn't a bar; it was a cafe. She
Oh, a
came in there.
cafe. Yeah.
Yeah, she
So
came in there to eat with her
she came in there
friends.
to eat, and y'all were entertaining. So yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense. So your
She's a
son.
preacher's daughter.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, she was a preacher's daughter, and so she loves rock and roll, or actually, she likes contemporary Christian rock music. And
Okay.
my son popped out, and he's a combination of both of us. You'll look at
Yeah.
his iPad, he'll have Johnny Cash running on one side of it, and Leonard Skinner running on the other side of it.
Well, that makes
So he's
that makes
influenced.
that makes things interesting. When you got
It
that
does.
kind of stuff
It
going
does.
on.
Yeah. And
When
he's
did?
got long hair.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
long hair, and he fits. We do a lot of the celebrate recovery deals where alcoholics and people dealing with drug issues are in there, and man, he just relates to them. Although he's probably never had a drink or drug
Yeah.
touched to his tongue,
Right.
he just relates to those people because of the rock side,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's really awesome. And you're not getting any younger, so you got to bring some youth into the act there.
Absolutely, yeah,
Drawing some younger
yeah.
people. I know how that goes. So I got my kids travel with me, and that helps bring in some of the younger listeners out there, which is good. But when did your son actually start? I guess he started traveling with you right off the bat. And when did he start singing or playing guitar?
He started singing when he was about 3 years old. We've got him on video, and he sang from about 3 until 7. But he sang kind of like what kids do, just not on pitch, but
Yeah.
sang good.
Yeah.
Great at remembering words and all that stuff. But at about 7 years old or so, some kids made fun of him, and he said, "Dad, I don't think I want to sing anymore." And we didn't force the issue.
Yeah.
But when he turned about 12 years old, we were riding down the road in the bus, and he grabbed his little guitar somebody got him, and he said, "Daddy, I think I want to learn how to play guitar." And I said, "All right, son." So I'm driving, and I showed him a D chord. He started playing it, and he got it. It's like his little fingers were finally strong enough to chord it. And I showed him a G chord and an A chord, and all of a sudden we started singing Amazing Grace, and he was playing that little guitar. And man, he looked over like a kid riding a bike for the first time. He said, "Daddy, I'm doing it. Daddy, I'm doing it." Man, I run off the road in the bus. And
That's so cool.
literally, it wasn't 2 weeks later. He goes, "Hey, Dad, check this out." And he had a little track playing, and he ripped off a lead solo like he'd been doing it for 20 years. And Bobby, it's just been a natural gift to him. That boy can play anything. Plays
Yeah.
piano, plays drums, plays anything you can put in front of him. A guitar, he can just flat listen to something one time, and he doesn't just play riffs. He plays the parts.
Wow.
And just amazes the folks in Nashville too. So both of our last two albums, he played all the electric guitar on.
Oh, really? So you played on your
Yeah.
projects then? Huh? Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player.
That's awesome. I know you got to be proud.
Oh yeah. I show him off every time I get. I just soon him be up there doing it as me. One of these days I'll be running sound again back in my realm.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
He'll be the star of the show.
Cool, what's really cool, and I'm sure you've experienced this with your kids too,
Oh,
but
yeah.
He preaches some now too, and does speaking for a lot of youth. And
that is awesome.
It's up there. He uses a lot of the analogies that I'd used throughout the years and stories and such as that. And man, that just warms my heart to know that he heard. Sometimes I think your kids just don't pay attention to you, but he uses a lot of the analogies that I've used through the years, and man, that just blesses my heart.
Yeah, you see where kids, a lot of kids, where they're heading today, and the way they talk and the way they act, and they don't care about church, they don't care about God, but when you see like my kids and your son doing what they're doing, it's just it's words can't describe the feeling that we have, that our kids are doing what we like to do, and they're doing it with us. And we hope that someday that when we retire or when we pass on to the other side, that they're going to just continue on what we've taught them, you know.
Maybe we get a little bitty glimpse of what God feels like when he watches us.
Exactly. That proud daddy feeling.
Yeah.
He's got to feel the same way.
After the first 30 years of my life, I bet God's up there wiping the sweat off his brow going, finally.
Yeah. Finally he listened. Yeah, man. I've seen some of your videos, you and your son out. Do y'all have, is that mobile stage, is that yours? Or I've seen you out in like church parking lots on a mobile stage.
It's been a vision of mine for years. God gave me to build a trailer, to get a trailer like that. I never could find what I wanted, so my son and I actually built that last year. And my vision is, and what God's given me, is to eventually have 4 of those. Wow. And one on each corner of the United States, and just service cool. The United States with 4 different teams. That's where we created the Cowboy Outreach America, and they're designed. Everything stays mounted in there. The drum set, all the amps, everything's pre-mounted in there.
Wow! You
can pull up into a rodeo arena at intermission, and in 10 minutes, full band can be playing. In about 5 minutes, you can pull out. And all hydraulic, it all runs off the remote control. And
That's
just
amazing.
Push a couple buttons and everything opens up. But our mission is to take this thing out to where the crowds are at. Instead of trying to draw a crowd like we have for years, God spoke to me and said, where the people are. And so we're just taking this thing like you saw probably this last video, is just, we pulled it up into a big old parking lot, little strip mall, and set that thing up and just start cranking. And man, we're having church out of it. We're calling it drive-up church right now because of the epidemic going on. But it's just a tool that God gave us to serve him with. And man, it's opened up so many doors.
That's really awesome. So you can pretty much go anywhere you want to go and set it up and start playing.
We can, and we've already played. We did in a rodeo arena where we played across the arena to a crowd of over 8,000 people.
Wow.
And it was plenty loud enough.
That's awesome.
Plenty big enough. We could use, when we do a crowd that big, we could use a couple of video screens that we're working on now, but it'll cover a pretty good crowd.
That's pretty awesome. Do you have a generator that, if there's no electricity, you run it off a generator? How does that work?
We do. We pull it with a toter home that's got a generator on board, and the toter home sleeps the band in it, so we don't have to have hotel rooms. It'll sleep 6 people in it, and shower and air conditioning and all that stuff. So,
you're set up good, man. That's awesome. It's really awesome.
You know what's crazy about it is we started driving this rig when my son was 16 years old, and although his first car was an old '69 Camaro, the first vehicle that he actually drove for a year straight is this rig. It's 74 foot long.
My goodness.
And 60,000 pounds, and he hopped in there and drove it all year, downtown Dallas, Texas, everywhere you could go.
Wow.
He was a champion, man. He'd get there and he was wore out. He's like, Dad, this is crazy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Where can people find your music?
The easiest place is to just go on our website, go to tommybrandt.org.
How you spell your last name?
Find out about our Brandt is B-R-A-N-D-T.
B-R-A-N-D-T.
And then you can also go to our outreach page is cowboyoutreachamerica.com.
Okay.
And go to either one of them. You can find out it's got a full schedule where we're going to be at. This year's whacked out. I still got a full schedule on there. We only had a few weekends open this year.
I know.
They're getting canceled. They're just knocking down. I'm sure yours is the same way. But,
yeah.
A lot of those dates have been canceled. I don't know where we're going to be or what we're going to do, but we're going to serve Jesus wherever that's at.
So one of the advantages you have over most people is you got that rig where you can just set it up and they can just drive up in their cars and you can still do a concert, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and when we do have an off weekend, we can still create work. We can, pull up in a Walmart parking lot and ask permission and get people when they're going in the store.
That is really
Yes,
awesome.
it definitely helps out. I mean, it's,
That is a great outreach right there, because there's all kind of people walking around them parking lots. You know what I'm talking about.
yes, you can catch a lot. And immediately when we got it, our salvations, and we don't keep count for any particular reason other than just to check ourselves to make sure we're doing what God called us to do. But we were, we were running in the 200 and 300 range when we
Yeah,
just had the tour bus. And soon as we started doing the Cowboy Outreach America using the trailer, we're up in the 1,100, 1,200 salvations for a year. And they're true
that's
first-time salvations. We have a team that travels with us a lot and prays with the people, make
yeah,
sure they know the decisions that they've made, and then we try and send them to a local church where we're at.
yeah. Well, you are doing some good out there, man. Because I tell you what, it's sad to say, but there's a lot of churches out there that sometimes they don't even have one salvation in the whole year. So you guys are doing a great work for the Lord. That's awesome.
Yeah, I looked over my keyboard player. His daddy's a pastor there in Nashville, and after our first event, we had a little over 100 people at a rodeo come down and accept Christ. And they're
Wow.
just sitting out in the arena. They're just tears flying everywhere, and we got people out there praying with them, and we're just playing Amazing Grace. And I
Yeah.
looked over, my keyboard player is just bawling, and tears just pouring, and we kept playing, of course. But after that set, and we went on into the rodeo, I said, "Man, what's the matter?" He goes, "I've been going to church all my life with my daddy," and he said, "I ain't never seen anybody get saved." And he said, "I just saw over 100 people."
Oh man,
It's the most fulfilling thing I've ever been a part of.
it really is. It really is to see God use, you know, use us, as a vessel, and see people respond to that call, and it's really awesome. Tommy, I really appreciate you doing this, man. And I hope the folks now, they feel like they know you better, and they know your heart, and they know you have a passion to see souls saved, and you're doing it the way it's supposed to be done. You're going out into the highways and the byways, and you're presenting the gospel in a country style. And
Yeah.
if any of you folks out there watching, pastors or whatever promoters, you need to have Tommy and his son come and minister. Like I said, he can go anywhere you want him to go, and he's already got a stage and everything ready, sound and everything ready to go. So you don't have to rent a bunch of stuff to have him do an outdoor gig. He can just come and do it with his own stuff, and he knows how to minister. And like he said, he's been seeing a lot of souls saved. So, and that's what it's all about. It's not just entertainment, which that's a lot of it. You can't put them to sleep. You got to keep them entertained, but you present the gospel to them. And places like that, it's not a total Christian audience, of course, because people in parking lots, a lot of them they're not saved, and they're going through a bunch of junk in their life, and they like country music, and they hear that, and it attracts them, and the Lord starts dealing with them, and a lot of them get saved. So y'all have Tommy and his son. What's your son's name again?
He's Tommy Brandt the second. We call him T2.
T2. Have Tommy 1 and Tommy 2 come to your place. It don't have to even be a church. It could be
Everybody
somewhere
says
else.
we need to start the T&T show.
Yeah. So y'all have him. I recommend them highly, and they're good guys. And especially you folks out there, if you're an Alan Jackson fan, you don't have to get Alan Jackson. You got Alan Jackson right there in Tommy, because he sounds just like him. He's a great singer.
Yeah, people say that. I always say he sounds like me. I don't sound like him.
Oh, they say he sounds like you. Yeah, that's
Right.
that's pretty cool. Thanks, Tommy, for coming on with us. We really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you again someday, man, somewhere out there.
Yes, sir. Same here. God bless you, Bobby. Thanks for doing what you do.
Yes, sir. God bless you.